Hey,
What up, baby?
how we doing?
Live from the Synergize Hub.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first, I don't even know what you call this. What do we call it? Sponsored nonprofit spotlight, something like that?
Whatever you want to call it.
But it's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So this month, our 4:30 meetup, Providence Cristo Rey is our featured impact, our nonprofit. We bless different nonprofit every month. We're honored to have them at our 4:30 meetup, and Rady Dial, CLA, Indiana's Kevin Bacon is the sponsor of this month's 4:30 meetup. So what we thought would be, it would be cool if we had the featured impact and the featured impact sponsor together to talk, learn a little bit more about them, their hearts, why they do what they do, how they're trying to change the world, and what you might want to know about them that might not get covered at the 4:30 meetup. So it's a little behind the scenes kind of look at them. So I guess what a heck of an intro.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me just say something. First of all, kudos to Synergize. This is unbelievable what you've got going here. Just sitting here watching the roundabout as we look out the window on this.
Yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal location, phenomenal thing you guys have done in a very short amount of time. So congrats to you, my friend. Congrats to you. You've done a great job.
Thanks.
So. But we're here to honor a nonprofit at the end of the day. I can speak on the sponsorship a little later. I think we got to hear from our man Fred here.
Thank you.
And all the good he's doing.
Absolutely.
No, thank you all so much. And ditto to Synergize. This is phenomenal group. I love guys what you're doing. And Randy, thank you for sponsoring. Guys are doing great work there. So the group, our organization I'm here representing is Providence Cristo Rey. I'm really excited about it. For those who don't know, Providence Cristo Rey is a high school. We are a private high school focused with inner city students, urban students to be exact, utilizing a unique corporate work study model. So we get students who can't afford a private school experience, and we recruit them to come to a college prep school, and we make sure that when they come there, they will have a job where they work 1 day a week, and that in turn will help pay for their tuition, so tuition is affordable. It's been transformational. We have a national network, so we have a presence in about 38 states. We've been in Indiana since 2007, and we've been blessed to have substantial growth for students. First time generation, 12 years in a row, we're going on 13 now. 100% of our students have been accepted into college.
Wow.
On average, the students come about 2 grade levels behind in math and English, so academically they grow and matriculate. So for the last 2 years, the average college credits obtained were 17, which is just transformational. And we believe it's because of faith, because we are a Catholic school, but we also bring in God, and we have theology classes, and we add the formation to it. We also believe it's because of corporate partnerships, when you can expose students to things beyond their paradigm or beyond their shift. So when they have a chance to go to school 4 days a week, every week there's a field trip, and they're being mentored by great individuals like yourself, and they're being exposed to careers. So we're trying to do great work. We're growing. We are a small high school. We're about 194. We'll probably be about 220 students. We just purchased a brand new school building that have capacity of 500. And I just believe the word of God. Without a vision, people perish, and we are doing something that can aid the city's community or the community of Indianapolis by providing vision and opportunities for young people to make better choices. So thank you all so much for sponsoring us.
Wow. That's amazing. And Providence Cristo Rey, that's the only school in the Cristo Rey network in Indiana, correct?
Yes, yeah. So we're the only school in Indiana, and we've been in the Indy since about 07. Traditionally, we were on the new west side, which is about a half mile west of Indianapolis Zoo. We just moved to the near south side. Our school is unique because we kind of recruit all over the city. We have our own buses, so we have to go to the neighborhoods, also known as hoods, right, to get the students. So it's almost like we bring in Christ, we bring in the school to them, and then we bring them to the school, and we take them to work, and we pick them up. Because that's a significant barrier for a lot of the people we're called to serve. So yeah, we don't need.
And you said they leave with 17 on average?
Yeah,
that's
on average. Last year we were 17 college credits, so that's about a semester and a quarter that we have. And the reason why we stress college aptitude and college acceptance, because there's a lot of people say, you don't have to go to college, and for some that's true. But for the population we're called to serve, we understand that economic development has to go along with education as well, because you have to come out in certain situations, and that vehicle is the way out for many of our students. So we try to put them in positions for anything after post-secondary, right? You have to get, whether it's a certification or it's a 2-year college, we try to make sure that we can shepherd that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's one of the stories since you've been there, or that you've heard about even before you came, that was like, if we can do this every single time, like I'll like there's nothing else worth living for almost.
I'm surprised our school hasn't like had a Netflix series yet or a Disney Plus, right? Because like these stories are so transformational, you would think that I'm making them up. And I'll tell you one that I love to talk about, and I'll tell you one that I've personally been and developed since I've gotten there. In fact, he was talking to me yesterday. So one is a young lady by the name of Montanea Daniels. She came to us at the earlier part of our graduates. Single mother raised. She thought she wanted to do 2 things, right? So, all students have these aspirations. And typically, one of the easiest ways out, or pathways out of tough environments is sports, music, or wherever my mom and dad, grandma, dad came to go work, they're going to put me on. So her way out was music, and her mother was a supervisor at one of the hotel chains in terms of housekeeping. So that was going to be a fallback point. So she came in as a freshman, and everyone wanted, when they come in, they have to interview for certain jobs. So they interviewed for jobs, and she was trying to get to a law firm. And when she found out where she was going to work, she was disappointed because Eli Lilly picked her, right? And Eli Lilly wants to work Eli Lilly. So she works there. The first day, her freshman year, they put her in the mailroom. A great year, kind of being exposed, working with the mail. At that time, the president and CEO of Lilly, John Lechleiter, he would put together an end-of-the-year banquet for all of our students to kind of see how it's going. And he just so happened to get the table with Montanea Daniels. And he asked her, he said, so Montanea, how was your experience? She looked at John Lechleiter and said, it was horrible. I didn't like it. And when we heard it, I was like, I've got to work with tact for this. Who tells, John Lechleiter, he's kind of the man, right? So he was like, so why? She said, well, because I really thought, because I'm good in math and science, I was going to be in a chemistry lab. He said, okay. So the next year, she goes back, Eli Lilly hired her, and she's placed in the chemistry lab. Like, who puts a sophomore in the chemistry lab? John Lechleiter does. So she said, the chemistry lab, she's working with chemists, right? Sophomore, single mother, coming from that, she's in the chemistry, she's kind of being mentored. At the end of the year, John Lechleiter does the same thing. He finds Montanea, saying, now, how do you like the experience now? And, he was thinking, like, man, it was blown away. I got in the chemistry lab. She's like, it was okay. She's like, what's it? So he says, why was it okay? She's like, she said, because we were working on trying to discover this drug for cancer, and we can't really figure out why it's not passing a certain test. Some of the scientists think that these things are off here and that, but I think it's the oxygen levels are off, and we got to figure it out. Well, come to find out, Montanea was right. The oxygen levels were off. And she was featured her junior year in a national article. Well, what's so cool about it, she stayed at Eli Lilly for 4 years as a chemist, the last 2 years, went to college at Franklin College, scholarship, graduated, and when she graduated, she works in the same chemistry lab now. So Eli Lilly has been working with this young student since 14. She works there, and what's even more great about it is that she was assistant volleyball coach at Providence Cristo Rey. She serves on our board, and the Cristo Rey Network asked her to join the National Network Board. So she oversees all of those things now. So that's just a transformational story. And the other one is a real quick. His name is Jimmy Darbone. Okay, when I came there as the Dean of Students in 2017, I was there. He was one of the students there. We kind of came to hang out, and I cut hair. And he was a young sophomore, squirrely, he challenged me to push-ups and things like that. Played on the basketball team, but just a great kid. Young man, graduated, single mother. Dad was never in his life, but he was just really, really polished, okay? He had a great job, but this story is really about mentorship. He was blessed to receive a scholarship, went to IU Bloomington, he stayed in contact, he'd come back, and hey, how's it going, Mr. Fred, how was that? And I said, I'm good. Well, I had a young lady in the professional world, she reached out to me. We were supposed to meet. She said, hey, do you know a young man by the name of Jimmy? I said, yeah, Jimmy. She said, well, you know what? He is interning at this wonderful place downtown, and all you could do was talk about was Providence Cristo Rey.
Wow.
I was like, really? She's like, yes. And he tells me that I need to hire students if she wants to have more interactions with young people like me. So I called Jimmy. I was like, Jimmy, man, what's going on? He's now a junior. He said, yeah, I just want to let him know that school changed my life. And I think that if they see people like me, they got to meet people like you, because I want to make sure more people can have the experiences that I had. Two different stories, two different pathways. This young man's doing successful things, junior now. He's the trainer for IU basketball, and he's going to get all these exposures, but he tracks everything back to his network and his polishness, his professional skill set to being trained in high school.
Wow. There's the impact.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What? So even with the new school, you guys are going to be able to help 500 students a year. For the other students that aren't going to be part of this, or that may not have the chance to get on with a school like this, what's the thing that you would tell them or want them to know or apply wherever they're at, so that if maybe the same opportunities don't present themselves, how do they make opportunities and change the world or their world?
That's a great question, and I love the fact that you bring community involved, right? One of the things I think that can impact the bottom line of our culture, community, and state. And the reality is that although we could probably have a capacity of 500, we probably won't be more than about 275, maybe max 300, because of the job community here and how our model is probably going to sustain it. But that being said, I think that our model can be replicated into many ways that can impact education and communities. And one of the things that I believe is that God gives us things not just for ourselves, but for us to balance and to share. And some of our corporate partners have came to us and said, we want to make a bigger impact. And I've been blessed to kind of help shepherd conversations where Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a great example, where they want to make a greater impact in the community. And I've been able to kind of share their model, what they're doing with us for other school districts, so they can kind of create better awareness. Maybe on the south side, maybe on the west side. So my challenge to your question, I would encourage and explore with those educators to go out to those local communities. Push yourself beyond the bubble space of just K-12 academics, but see what type of communities are looking, not to just develop a pipeline, but a pool of students that you can start to develop, expose, and also you can grow, right? Because when you give back, you're also a better.
I think it might be helpful for it too. I mean, because everyone's learning about what you guys are doing through this, Synergize video, but then also at the events. Like, what is the model?
Yeah.
Right. You're giving employment opportunities for high school students, but what's the funding model? How can people help you from a sponsorship perspective?
Now that's a great question. So tuition for our school is about $17,500, almost $18,000 a year. Our families cannot afford it. On average, our families pay about $30 a month. So we break that down. How we make this possible is that everyone has to have a job, and that job, corporations pay $6,800 for a student to work 1 day a week from September all the way to May. So they work 1 day a week. So that's a significant amount of money that comes off. Because we're a private school and we in Indiana, all of our families qualify for what they call the educational voucher, also known as the choice voucher. And depending on what your financial needs and scholarships are, that can be anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000. And then there's a little buffer that we pay, that we fundraise, and we kind of go out and we ask people for money, we want to donate, and that's where we often ask for donations to make sure that these students cannot be turned away. And we utilize heavily a fund called an SGO fund, also known as Scholarship Granting Organization, where individuals can choose to say, if I'm going to pay taxes, instead of the government taking the money, I say I want to send my money that I'm paying taxes to something that we believe in. And individuals donate, and that money goes straight to our school to help provide scholarships. And the SGO fund that we use, there's some pretty significant tax rates that you can get up to 50% tax credit, both in Indiana and federal. So we are always looking for opportunities for individuals. We often say, you're going to give whether you want to or not, but we hope that you can at least choose to maybe donate your money to us so that way we can develop. So that's just one of the ways that you can find a way to give.
And each student works one place 1 day a week? Can
Yes.
they work more than 1 day a week, or the rest are in school?
The rest are in school.
Okay.
So typically how we do it, every Monday all of the seniors are leaving for work. Tuesday all of the juniors leave.
Gotcha.
Wednesday sophomores and Thursday freshmen, and everyone's kind of involved on Friday. Some corporations, they take multiple students, 4 or more, so that way they can have a student in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Some double up. We have Eli Lilly, they're our biggest corporate partner for now. They have about 20 to 22 students. We in conversation with other institutions that want 20 or more students as well, so they can use them around multiple places in their divisions and campus. Wow. But we are still looking for jobs. So if anyone is watching and they're saying, hey, I have an organization, I need about 41 more jobs for students to start in August and September. There's no pressure. I perform better, okay? When we're down by 20, give me the ball, spread out, get out the way. But we still are accepting opportunities, and if there's something that anyone would like to learn more about, I'll be happy to talk to them.
Awesome.
Those are students that are already going to be part of the program that are needing
Yes.
companies to say, I will fund 1 day a week.
Yes.
And is there a geographic location those have to be in? Like, do they have to be within a certain mile radius of the school?
That's a great question. No, there isn't. We have students, well, yes and no. We have students that work in Chrome. In fact, right down the street from you, one of our biggest partners is Merchants Capital.
Mm-hmm.
Merchants Capital, we have students who work there and across the street. But we also go as far as the airport west. We pretty much stay within 465, and then we do go a little bit in Greenfield. We started off with 70 East. And we go as south as right below Greenwood. So that's kind of where our radius is at. If we can get that 465, because we're blessed with our busing system, we can kind of maneuver, we can kind of do some things.
And you bus them to the jobs?
Yes, too.
Wow.
And we provide lunch.
Wow.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is so cool, and it's so much it's so cool. There are all of these impacts in Indy and the surrounding areas that I feel like nobody knows about, and I feel like yours is one of those where it's like the more people that know about it, like the bigger your impact can be, especially because you have so much more room now with the new buildings,
Yeah.
like the better.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you. And I think impact is something that I think, if anything, that Cristo Rey has taught me. I'm a native of Indy. I've been blessed, but since 2007, I didn't know that this school existed until someone said, hey, why don't you come check out this private school? I said, private school, I can't sell it. I'm called the public. My calling is in the streets. Then you find that there's a private school just for that sector, right? And there's a way out of certain neighborhoods, but it takes a community of individuals. The intersectionality of corporate space, public, private, and education, and community leaders who just want to do the right thing, that are doers, it's just remarkable. I honestly think what we're doing here at Cristo Rey is a microcosm of what can be like.
Well, it's just ironic that we're sitting here together doing this.
Yeah.
And I told you before we started, like, just over the last month, it's a God thing. You and I got to know each other before the pandemic.
Yeah.
All hell breaks
Yeah,
loose.
I'm telling you.
We lost touch. We run into each other at a True You event recently. Got on the calendar, I think, here in a week or two.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we get contacted.
I know.
And then I get a call from our Chicago office asking, have I ever heard of this organization? And we're using them up here. And that's why I said,
Let's
we're
go.
coming. We're
Let's
coming.
go.
It's just, this was meant to be,
Man.
So how cool is
That's
that?
awesome. That's awesome.
We'll let you speak to Randy, but speaking of the meant to be, you're one of those people, you will throw money at things, you will support things, you will tell people about, anytime there's a way to make an impact or make a difference, you are one of the first people, I would say, that would come to anybody's mind that knows you as Randy would get involved, Randy would help.
I
So
appreciate that.
why is that so big and something that you do? Is it something that the organization has taught you? Is it something that that's just who you are and you're bringing it to the organization?
Yeah, I think it's just my DNA. I mean, ever since, even as a kid, I remember growing up, I always was attracted to those that I felt needed a friend to some extent. Maybe they were picked on a little more. And just as I grew up and played sports, and I was typically a team captain, I just love to win. I'm a competitor and I want to help others win. And so I think it's just in my DNA. I just want to help people. And when you do that, I think it attracts others to you to some extent. And so it's benefited me from a network perspective. So I love to lean in. I love to help people. If you meet with me, you'll hear me ask, what's your story? I don't like to sell people. I don't even tell them what I do. I want to hear where they're going and what they're doing and help them get there. And when you do that, they just want to be a friend. And so that's all it is. It's just my DNA. That's what I like to do. So that's why Synergize is a great fit. And from the start, I loved it. I mean, I could just tell this thing was going to be something special.
So the 4:30 meetup, Randy is kind of Jason's co-founder and the 4:30 meetup. So 4:30 meetup did not used to be a Synergize thing. It was a Synergize, CLA, Jason, and a handful of folks kind of like trying to get people together to make a difference, but it was not necessarily under anything. And Jason and Randy had real jobs, so it became a Synergize thing, and it's grown and continued to bless more and more organizations.
Yeah, it just started off with a heart towards nonprofits. You know, just how can we help more nonprofits? It just started with that easy over a beer.
Yeah.
And it was, let's just have a networking event. People love to meet each other. It's a small group. And you remember it started with, I mean, like 20 people, right? It was really small. And man, did it just take off. And you're right. I mean, Jason and I are like, okay, we can't handle this. Let's go. Let's bring in some others and make this a real deal. And now look where we're sitting. Isn't this nuts? It's nuts.
Yeah.
World can change just with a few people who have a mind to work. That's it. It's powerful.
That's right.
I think over the past 2 years since the first 4:30 meetup, I think we've probably had close to over 1,000 different people attend and participate. And
Wow.
a lot of times it's just, given a $25 contribution to come. That's how it started. And, then memberships, we started putting money aside. And then even now, there's a lot of people that'll buy a $100 one-time ticket to come to an event because they just want to support a cause and make friends.
And at every one of those events, you meet someone new, you can change a heart.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Bespoke guys. I met them at Synergize. I'm there every month now, and they are phenomenal, and I will never have another barber in my life. I love those guys, but I would have never met them without Synergize. They've got a heart for God, and they're doing the right thing, and that's what you meet at these meetups.
Yeah, we'd say the common denominator that everybody in that room has is that night everybody is giving to something together. And this month, those stories that Fred was telling us about are what we're supporting. It's going to be awesome.
And I love the fact that your mission is getting the younger generation engaged quicker versus, hey, you're done with high school, now what?
Yeah.
College, trades, what are you going to do? Well, now you're teaching that younger, and whether they go to college or not, man,
That's
they're
right.
getting some unbelievable
The
experience.
seeds.
Yes.
Seeds. And I don't want to run out of time, but it's great that you brought that up because I think in corporate spaces, I think that we need to realize that we have to start much earlier than college because oftentimes they're not matriculated to college.
That's right.
And if you don't spark a vision of what they can become much sooner, then the world becomes much shorter, right? And if you can develop these great impressions and relationships, which I just recently learned from someone who quoted that every relationship moves at the speed of trust, right? And if you start this much earlier, just imagine how powerful and cultivating it can become, not only just for the bottom line, but just for the greater good.
Absolutely.
It's true. Yeah, we talk about legacy a lot in Synergize, but there's this implication when you say legacy that, you have to be over a certain age or have a certain amount of experience to start building one or even thinking about what yours is going to be in the world. But I think if, like Providence Cristo Rey is doing, if we start building them younger and younger, then we have more people who are thinking about larger ripples of impact and just better ways to impact the world over a much larger span of time.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I was reading a quote once, and I think someone said something. Something happens between a young child when they're playing doctor, nurse, and it's cute. Some of the people just pour into money and buy them the coats and the toys, and they grow up and they no longer see themselves as that, and they put those toys and the ambitions down. So imagine if we can develop that where it starts as cute toys with doctor or something, and then it goes to actual opportunities of internships, then it goes to mentorship, then it goes to sponsorship, then it goes to actually being doctors. I think if we can develop that line of influence with the right support, I really believe that can be just a part of helping to evolve and helping to change things.
When I look at like the most monumental moments in my life, it was always when somebody believed in me before I believed in myself. My wife, when I was a complete mess and it absolutely destroyed our relationship, and a year after kind of broke up and she kind of left me, rightfully so. A year later, like, she believed in me, the man I could be, before I ever thought I could. Synergize, when I shared the idea of it with Jason, he was the first person I shared the idea of it with, and like, he believed in it and believed in me so much that I started to believe in myself, right? And, I had an okay childhood. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I didn't finish college, but it was simply because of my priorities and things. So I had the opportunities, didn't really take advantage of a lot of the things, but regardless, there have been times where people believe in me so much, something I can't see, and it actually encourages you to become who you are meant to be, even when you don't know if you ever could be. And I feel like at the age and the children and the people that you're touching, it's absolutely incredible that these kids are actually, maybe the first time in their life, ever having somebody believe in them, which gives them a glimpse of something they can believe in. And you shared that story about, she was her second or third year in high school, at Lily, pointing out something that she saw that ended up being the thing that was needed. Like, could you imagine? Like, you guys believed in her. She began to believe in herself. She had a voice now, shared her honest opinion, and then it caused somebody that probably doesn't get questioned very much to actually, he wasn't a critical person. When you take criticism, maybe even learning it from a 16 or 17-year-old, you start to self-reflect. And, that may have produced a drug, and there might be people alive today that wouldn't be simply because of the courage of a 16-year-old that maybe had no courage 2 years prior.
It's absolutely
unreal.
It's absolutely powerful, and we couldn't do it without the countless of staff, teachers, and educators that chose this life, right, and chose to serve. And we decided to come along and be sponsored just to kind of share our story, because without a platform like this, no one would know. And we're grateful that people hear our story and take enough joy to say, hey man, can you just share it? So thank you all. Thank you, Spot.
Now, can you bring some of them to the 4:30 meetup? Some of the students.
I see what I can do.
With that?
You have to talk to their bosses.
I had to talk to the bosses, and it's on summer break. Okay, so I kind of gathered some, but I have a few in mind that I keep in touch with. That I think it'd be great for them to come, and you all.
It'd be great.
Even some of our alumni, I think it'd be great to come and kind of see how they've been impacted. I'll try to see if I can get one of the people that'll tell the story about it.
Awesome.
That would be great. Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything you do daily. I mean, once a month, it's kind of cool because the nonprofits a lot of times are like, wow, thank you guys for helping us and for all, like, just giving because we want to. But the truth is, like, if you weren't giving every day, we'd have nothing to pour into. Mm-hmm. So, and then Randy, it's just part of Randy doesn't run a nonprofit, but he lives out a nonprofit.
Absolutely. Randy's phenomenal. I met him through a mutual friend, Asher Gray. And I went to the breakfast. I was like, wow, what is this? And and the person that Randy is, you would look in the background and you wouldn't know that he's the one that kind of spearheading, because he's just in the background letting those on stage go. So I think that speaks volumes about you, brother.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm excited about the times we had coming apart of it too.
Me too.
I'm already claiming you're part of our mission.
I'm
It's
there.
done. It's done.
And if you're watching this, you better come to the 4:30 meetup so that we can meet you and hug on you and love on you.
I'll hug the crap out of you.
July 26th, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at 3UP.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, thanks, guys. It was so good to talk.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. All right.